Welcome back to the Alignment Path, the journey towards becoming your higher self. Today we're discussing the process and the journey of immersing oneself in a new reality, or perhaps it's an entirely different reality than the one you've been in for a while. So whether this is something entirely brand new or it's maybe returning back to a place that you haven't been in years, whether that's your hometown or a place that feels like it was once a previous lifetime. You know, both these situations really can be quite daunting, and there's a lot of novelty or stimuli. It can feel unsettling and ungrounding, certainly, because everything is shifting and changing. So how can we navigate these transitions and this process of immersing in a new reality and stripping away from everything that we were once comfortable with? How can we do that with ease and grace? So I'm going to walk us through a few steps that I've personally implemented because I've done this dance between alternate realities several times in my lifetime, especially in different parts of the world. And transitions they're always a bit challenging. And when I finally admitted that, I feel I was able to move through them more effectively. Whereas before, I think I tried to pretend like I've got this, it's fine, I'm all prepared, I can jump into another reality. And then when it was difficult, that's where all of the stories show up, or things get blown out of proportion, and all the ego wants to do is run back to what was once comfortable. And so that's the case for jumping maybe from a really ideal environment into, let's say, an old or previous one. But the same holds true for, let's say you've really upgraded your life, or you've stepped into a new position, or you're in an entirely new environment where it's just new. So the transition here is just simply everything's different. It's literally like you entered into another world, and maybe there's no one there that you know from your previous lifetime. Maybe your entire environment's different. So what can we do in these situations where we've essentially lost all of our comfort and sense of groundedness and feelings of identity, and maybe who we once were in our previous lifetime? So what I find is the single most important thing when you are transitioning into a new place, into a new world, whatever it may be, is to have a grounding practice. And I've spoke about this many times before. For me, this comes with my morning routine, because I feel this is our sacred time in the day. This is when we really can set ourselves up for success and really empower ourselves to be our best selves and show up and, really take that time for us so that we can give it and pour out our cup for others throughout the day. But, if you just wake up, check your phone, get into a cycle of thoughts, whatever it may be, then the whole day, maybe you're trying to scramble to come back to that sense of self. So, first and foremost, develop your own exciting, grounding, and easy to follow practice. And I highly encourage something about it to be, actually physically grounding, whether it's getting outside, some type of movement, maybe it's meditating, something that's really going to ground you in the place you are, because our minds are quite incredible machines, and when things are new and strange, they can go crazy. So this is the practice that's bringing us back into the now, into our bodies, and really, signaling to our psyche it's good. It's all good. Everything's different, but actually this is still the same. So That's the first thing I highly recommend. Secondly, I would really encourage to carry over components of your previous life, whatever it may be. Let's say in your previous living situation, you were really getting into hand lettering. You were really exploring typography, and then all of a sudden you move to a place where you're in the mountains and there's no one teaching typography classes. This is just an example, but and then all of a sudden you stop doing it, right? Wrong. This is the perfect time to carry that practice over. So as you can see, a lot of what's going to ease this transition is carefully and intentionally choosing the things we bring into our life in this new chapter. So number 2 is, carry over at least one or a couple, projects or hobbies that you were doing in your past chapter into this new one. And number 3, what I feel is just of the utmost importance is get to know new people. It's again really easy when you're in a new environment and you're really transitioning to just want to be like home. Like let's say, you work all day and then you just want to go home and have your time. And that's so valid. I really do believe in that, and I acknowledge that and find the value in that. However, I would also add, it's going to bring a sense of stability and comfort when you can establish new relationships in this new environment. So let's say you're in a new city, or let's say you're even in an old city, something like you came back to a place where you haven't lived in a decade, and so it's kind of familiar but unfamiliar. Get to know new people. That's the biggest thing I can recommend. Do not go back to old friends per se, unless they're really ones you've remained in contact with. But if it's old friends you haven't seen or talked to in a decade, and all of a sudden you're home and you're lonely and you want to reach out to someone just to hang out with someone, don't do it with old ties. Really, come back to your intention and really become clear about who are the types of people you want surrounding you in this new chapter. And then all of a sudden, it becomes this new, beautiful, empowering, exciting place, and perhaps you have new inspiration or new creative outlets or just an entirely new supportive community that you didn't have before. So I hope these 3 tips are practices you can implement. I would love to know, what have been the transitions you've had to go through recently? And please share below, and I look forward to seeing you all back here next time. Have a wonderful day.